are going to start the struggle in the way of Allah, that is jihad. Jihad is an Arabic word and it means to strive, to exert oneself. In religious terminology, it expresses struggle against one's evil inclination or exertion for the sake of Islam. It means to struggle against one's evil inclinations or exertion for the sake of Islam. कि किसी के बुरे इरादों को शिकस्त देने के लिए अपनी तमाम तर कोशिशें लगा देना, अपने आप को अपने जान समेत पेश कर देना. That is called jihad, exertion for the sake of Islam and the Muslim Ummah. For example, an armed struggle against the non-believers. If Islam is under threat, अगर इस्लाम को कोई ख़तरा है तो non-believers के against struggle करना जहाद है. The spread of belief in Allah or to work for the moral betterment of the Islamic society. And not only the fighting in the battlefield is jihad, but to teach and spread the belief in Allah. तबलीग का काम itself एक जिहाद है और सोसाइटी में अच्छे काम करना भी जिहाद है. Jurists have distinguished 4 different ways in which the believer may fulfill his jihad obligation: by his heart, his tongue, his hands, and by the sword. There are 4 different ways to fulfill his jihad obligation, that is by his heart, by his tongue, by his hands, and by the sword. बुराई को बुरा समझना एक जिहाद है, फिर अपनी ज़ुबान से उसको बुरा कहना जिहाद है, फिर अपने हाथों से उस बुराई को रोकना एक जिहाद है, और फिर अगर हाथों से भी वो ना रुके तो फिर अपनी तलवार से उस बुराई को ख़त्म करना फ़र्ज़ है हम पे. ठीक है. इट इज़ द ऑब्लिगेशन. द फर्स्ट इज़ कंसर्न विद डिफीटिंग ईवल. By heart, defeating evil by heart. This type of jihad was so significant in the eyes of the Holy Prophet that he regarded it as the greater jihad. So jihad by heart is the greater jihad. The second and the third are mainly fulfilled by supporting the right and correcting the wrong. In your society, you support the right and you correct the wrong things. It is the jihad of tongue and jihad by your hand. The fourth is equivalent to the meaning of war. Jihad by sword is equivalent to the war and is concerned with the fighting non-believers and the enemies of the faith. The believers are required to sacrifice their wealth and lives in the service of Allah. Jihad is not only jihad with your hand, it is also the jihad with your wealth spent in the way of Allah to spread Islam. Jihad means to strive, to exert oneself, and in religion it expresses the struggle against one's evil inclination. Jihad has 4 distinguished ways: jihad by heart, by tongue, by hands, by sword. Jihad by heart is concerned with defeating evil by your heart, and this is considered the greatest jihad. This type of jihad was so significant in the eyes of Holy Prophet that is, he considered it a greater jihad. Then there is the jihad by tongue and by hands. That is to support the right and correct the wrong things in the society and around yourself. Fourth jihad is, fourth type of jihad, that is jihad by sword, is equivalent to the war. That is fought with the non-believers and the enemies of Islam. In jihad, we are supposed to fight with our wealth and lives as well. In the first place, a person learns to control his own bad desires and inclination. पहला जिहाद आपके नफ्स के साथ जिहाद होता है, जिसमें a person learns to control his own bad desires and inclination. This is the jihad struggle within ourselves, which is responsible for establishing maroof, right, and removing munkar, evil. अमर बिल मारूफ और नहीं अनिल मुनकर जिसको हम कहते हैं ना, ये वो है. मारूफ का मतलब होता है सही का साथ देना